Hey guys, this is lecture 25, reading and writing text files. So throughout this section we're going to be inputting and outputting different file formats for Pandas data frame. In order to do that, I've just already imported the regular NumPy's NP, Pandas PD, and then from Pandas I've imported series and data frame. So first things first, we're going to have to get or make a CSV file. You can either get this from the additional material or you can make your own. So I've opened up Notepad, or you can open up really any text editor. I've put in just some letters or numbers, and then at the end a word, all separated by commas. And so I'm going to say file save this as, I'm going to go to where my IPython notebooks are saved. And these are actually saved in IPython notebooks, and let me just check to see that they're all there. So I select all files, and so yeah, all the lectures I've been doing are here. So our lecture 25 is here. So I'm going to say .text, actually I'm going to say all files, and then save this as a .csv file. So let's go ahead and save that. So now I have lec 25 saved as a .csv. Let's see how we can open it. So it's in the same location as lecture 25. So I don't need to call a specific file location. So all I have to do is say read underscore CSV, and then the name of the file, lec25.csv, and it's read it. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like as a data frame. Nice. So if you notice, something that happened here is it used the comma as a delimiter, and it also set that first row as the index of the columns, or as the column names, I should say. So what's another way we can do that? Well, if we didn't want that first row to be the column names, I can say dframe equals pdread underscore CSV. Again, I put in the name of my file, lec25.csv, and in this case I'm going to say my header equals none. So there is no header, so it's going to just index it automatically. So let's see what happens. Now let's take a look at my dframe. Nice. So now you can see it's inputted the full thing as a 4x5 data frame, and it's automatically indexed the rows and columns just numerically. So we didn't use that first row there. A different way to import CSV files is using the read table method. So the read table method is just a more generic version of read CSV. So I can say read table. Again, I just import that file name as an argument, and then I have to, since it's read table, it doesn't know it's a CSV file, I have to indicate what that delimiter or what that separator is. And then we're going to say header equals none. And let's see if we get the same thing here. Dframe, and we do. We get the same thing. We just had to indicate that the separator was a comma. So read table can then read anything no matter what its delimiter is. And delimiter is just a thing separating every variable. Yeah, so we can also do it that way. We can also indicate a particular number of rows to be read. So if we have a really big file and we don't want to read all the rows as a data frame, we can indicate the specific number of rows. The way to do that is we can just say pdread CSV. I'm not going to save it as a data frame, just want to show you guys. So I'll say lec25.csv. Again, I'll state the header equals none, and then I can pass the argument n rows, and that's the number of rows to be read. So if I only wanted to read, let's say, the first 2 rows, I just pass n rows equals 2, and it'll only read the first 2 rows. So let's see the whole data frame again. The original one, dframe. Cool. So what if I had a data frame but I wanted to export it, so an output of the file? Well, that's also really easy. I can just say dframe. In this case, if I want to do a CSV file, I just say to_CSV, and then the argument I have to pass is what I want to call the file. So in this case, I'll just say my text data _out.csv, and now it's saved it as a text file. So you'll see this file where your IPython notebooks are saved. So go ahead and check your folder, see if you actually see this file there. I'll open up my folder, see if it's there. So I'll go to my documents, go to my IPython notebooks, and let's sort it by date modified. And here it is, my text data out. Cool. So we've learned how to export it as a CSV. We can also use other delimiters, so we can separate it with other things that are not just commas. I'm going to import right now SYS system. In order to do, I'm doing that so I can see the output directly and not have to save it. You'll see what I mean in a second. So let's say I said dframe.to_CSV. Instead of writing a file name, I'm just going to write std or sys.std out. That's just to show you guys what the output is. So I'm not actually saving this file, I'm just showing you the output. And then back to the idea of using a different delimiter, I'm just going to write std out. And I can indicate what's separating every variable. So let's say I wanted to use an underscore as a separator. I can do that too, and now instead of commas, it'll do underscores. So if you wanted to save this file with a different separator, you can go ahead and do that. I'll show you another example just to make sure you understand the concept of the delimiter. Let's just say sys std out. And I'll use a different separator, in this case one that you probably wouldn't want to use, but question mark. Let's see what happens. Think about what you expect to happen. Check if you're right. So now every variable is separated by a question mark. So that makes sense. We can also choose to write only a specific subset of columns to the CSV file. If I wanted to do that, I can just say to CSV. Again, I won't name the file, I'll just use std out to see the output. And let's say I only wanted the first 3 columns. So I'll say columns equal to 0, 1, 2. And if we scroll back up and look at our data frame, that would be these first 3 columns, 0, 1, 2, the QRS 234 ASD 525 columns. Let's go ahead and see what happens. And that's what I get out on the CSV 012, QRS 1234, with the index still there. So that 0123 is that index in case you ever wanted to import it again. So there's tons of built-in CSV reader methods for Python, and I'm going to just put the link as a string so you can check out this URL. It's in your it's in the IPython notebook that goes with this lecture. It's just the docs Python for CSV for other built-in native methods in Python. Let's go ahead and check out the link. So there's a nice comma separated value reader format, and there's a bunch of stuff you can do. This stuff is integrated directly with Python, not Pandas. So you can also mess around with that in case you want to do something outside of Pandas with CSV. So I'll let you check that out on your own. We won't really be using it throughout this course since Pandas already has a really nice built-in CSV reader. Cool. So that's about it for text files and CSV files. Next we're going to learn about reading and writing JSON data. Alright, I'll see you there. Hey guys, welcome to lecture 26. In this lecture we'll be learning how to use JSON with Python and Pandas. JSON is the JavaScript object notation and it's used a lot around the web. So I've imported the usual NumPy as NP, Pandas, series data frame as well. So let me show you an example of what a JSON object looks like. I'm going to copy and paste this from the IPython notebooks that you have links to, so you can go ahead and open up that link and then just copy and paste it into your own IPython notebook. So it almost looks like a dictionary in Python. It's very, very close to that format. In this particular JSON object, we have a zoo animal category, if you will. We have it called lion. We'll have the food it eats. It eats meat, veggies, and honey. We'll have a descriptor for its fur. It's golden. It doesn't have any clothes because it's an animal. And then we have its diet, and that will consist of, for example, if there's a zoo animal, gazelle, its food that it eats is grass and its fur is brown. So we can have several layers of zoo animals within the JSON object. So we currently have two zoo animals here, the lion and the gazelle can be part of the lion's diet. Okay, so we're going to import the JSON module to work with it. And in order to load the JSON data, we're going to say data equals JSON.loads, and then the object name we gave it. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. We'll type out data. Cool. So now we've loaded the JSON object as the term data. We can also convert this back to JSON if we wanted to. We can just say JSON.dumps, and then you pass whatever you want to dump onto as a JSON object. And now we have our JSON object here. Looks almost like a dictionary. So what else can we do? If you wanted to open up a JSON data after loading with a data frame, you can do that. So we can name our data frame dframe and then load. Let's say we wanted to see our data and we were just interested in the diet. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. And so now we have the diet section of the lion, and then we have information on that. So it was a zoo animal gazelle, its fur was brown, and the food it eats is grass. We won't be working a whole lot with JSON objects with Python, so I'll leave this to you guys if you want to learn more about it. There's a lot of different arguments you can pass and custom selections. So you can specify a specific number of rows or columns to read off from the JSON object. But really, we won't be using them that often in this course. This is just almost an in case if you want to use JSON objects. And if you're already familiar with JSON objects, then you'll be familiar with their formats, and this is just to teach you how to import and load. But this isn't really a huge part of this course, so it's just for the more you know, basically. Okay, so in the next section, we'll go over quickly XML and HTML file formats of Python, and that'll be lecture 27. So I'll see you there. Hey guys, this is lecture 27, and in this lecture we're going to be learning how to work with HTML with Python and Pandas. So we're going to import the usual, import Pandas as PD, and then from Pandas import series and data frames. Something we're going to import in order to read HTML data is from Pandas. We're going to import read underscore HTML. So to get HTML data, we're going to grab a URL for a list of failed banks. And that URL, I'm going to copy and paste it from the IPython notebook link. And that's the URL right there. An important note, you're going to need two things installed in order to do this. You're going to have to either pip or conda install depending on your installation. You're going to need a pip install Beautiful Soup. It's a scraping tool to use for web scraping, and then you're also going to need to install pip install HTML 5lib. So you should be already pretty familiar on how to use pip install or conda install based on your Python installation that you chose. So that you're going to need to install both Beautiful Soup and HTML5 in order to do this lecture. Alright, so once you have those guys installed, you can grab data from HTML and put it to a list of data frame objects. So to show you what I mean, I'm going to create an object called dFrameList. And then from that, I'm going to use pd.io.html.read HTML. And I'm going to read that URL that I just did. So this is going to grab data from the HTML and put it into a list of data frame objects. So let's set our dFrame, our data frame, equal to the first object in that list. And then we're going to show it as well. Nice. So now the first object in that data frame list, we just took it and then we acquired this data frame. If we take a look at the actual website, so I will copy and paste this into my browser. So we just copied this this list right here, this failed bank list. Cool. Now we got that going. Notice how we have null values where Pandas wasn't able to find any other values. So let's say you just want to know the columns. We can just, as we've learned before, just ask for the column values. And let's see what we got. So we got the bank name, the city, the state, CERT, acquiring institution, etc., all the way to the closing and updated date. So we got all that information, and it's now in a data frame. So we can do a bunch of stuff with it. What we learned in the past on working with data frames, or yeah, whatever you really want to do with this information. So that's how you open up HTML files with Pandas and Python. The main takeaways here are just you're going to need to use read HTML, using pd.io.html.read_HTML on whatever that URL you decided to use that happened to be in HTML. And then that will get you a list, and you can grab from that list to create your data frame. And then just make sure that you have installed Beautiful Soup and HTML5 lib. Okay, that's it for this lecture. Next we're going to learn how to work with Excel files. I'll see you there. Hey guys, welcome to lecture 28. In this lecture we're going to learn how to use Excel files with Python and Pandas. So I'm just going to start off by importing Pandas as PD. And then the important thing to know here is you're going to need to install two modules, either using pip install or conda install. Pip install is pretty easy. Just go to your command line like you've done before and just type in pip install xlrd is what we're going to need. And we're also going to need a pip install OpenPy XL. So once you've pip installed those guys in your command line, you can use Pandas with Excel. So how do we open an Excel file? Well, I've made an Excel file, so you can go ahead and open up Excel, make a file. In this file, I've just put on the first row and first column, this is a test, and then I just made a 5x3 set of numbers. They're just random numbers, doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and save this. It's called lec_28_test. and I only have information on sheet 1. And I just saved that in the same folder where my IPython notebooks are stored. So go ahead and make an Excel file or download one, store it in the same place where your IPython notebooks are. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and name an object XLS file. And then using pd.excelfile, we can type in the name of that file, XLSX, really similar to how we imported CSV files. Whoops. Lec. There we go. That's what I call the file. And then we can set a dframe to parse that. So we can say XLS file dot parse, and we're just going to parse that first sheet in the Excel file, which was called sheet 1. And let's go ahead and look at what that dframe looks like. And there we have it. So we have that this is a test as that first column name. It's automatically indexed all the rows 0 through 4. It's put our numbers where we didn't have named columns. It just left them as unnamed 1, unnamed 2, etc. And that's how you import Excel files using Pandas. There's a lot of extra features you can use if you wanted to open up a certain amount of columns or rows. If you want to learn more about that, you can just go to the Pandas documentation. There's a lot of different arguments you can pass. You can pass headers, you can say skip rows, you can index the columns in a certain manner, you can parse the columns. So there's a lot of options you can do. At this point, it'd be kind of up to you depending on what you want to do with this certain Excel file you're opening. So I'll let you go ahead and check out the documentation there. But as far as just opening Excel files, all you need to do is pip install these two modules, XLRD, OpenPyXL, set an object, and use pd.excelfile to open it, and then you can parse through the Excel file to create your data frame. Okay, that's it for this section. Next up, we're going to learn about a lot of various data frame techniques that we can use on our data to perform analysis. All right, I'll see you there.